Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Well, I gotta say, it feels good to be back at the Pines Manor, right? So we have some new faces here. This is something that we do monthly. We do a training in this fashion about different topics. We try to keep it relevant to what's happening to the market. And here, Jeff, go on for a couple minutes. Right? So, I don't know about you, but it feels good to be back. And I don't know, does anybody in this room, in this market, want more listings? Yes. If you want more listings, raise your hand. Is anyone in this room a little tired of working on the buy side right now?
Yeah.
Right?
No way, I need you buyers.
Right? But I have a little secret for you. Is it all right if I'm completely transparent with you?
Yeah, of course.
100% transparent with you?
Yeah.
Today's training will not get you a listing. You are not going to leave this room and a magical seller is going to call you and say, list my house because you were at this training. Right? So I just saw 3 people leave, but it's okay. Right? Training is great, but it only helps if you take action. Taking action is everything. Training to me has become one of the most overrated words in the real estate industry. You could go to every training, you could do everything, but if you don't take action, you don't get results. Who here has gone to a training? You're so excited, you're amped up, I'm going to implement everything I heard. You leave the room, you drive back home or to the office, and you realize, what did I just learn? And all your excitement just, boom, gone. Right? Taking action. Listings are so competitive right now, but we're going to go over 5 techniques that most agents aren't focusing on. Some are, but most aren't. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going after listings, I'd rather go over the sources that not everybody's going after right now. Think about it. You don't have to answer this. But what would more listings right now do for your business, your career, and your life? You can work with a lot more sellers at once than you can work with buyers. So we're going to unpack 5 proven. This isn't theory. This isn't something that we've read in a book that was written 20 years ago. This is about things that you can do right now that are going to work. And it's going to set you up for today, and it's going to set you up moving forward. Thanks, Jay. Why do you want listings? Why do you want more listings? You can shout out an answer. What would more listings do for you?
Make more money.
Make more money, control your business, scale your business. I don't know about you. Jeff Bezos can go out and make another $100 billion and fly people to the moon or whatever he does. But Jeff Bezos can't be 25 again. So what's more valuable? His $100 billion or his time? Once you lose your time, you can't get it back. Who here has been on an appointment and realized, that's an hour of my life I'm never getting back? Right? So you got to think, is time. And another disclaimer is, having a large listing inventory is not for everybody. I was wired for a large listing inventory. But some people are not wired for it. In a normal market, which we are not in right now, full disclaimer. So if you're newer or first time in a market like this, this is not the norm. But when you're working with 10, 15 sellers, who here has ever had the listing and the sellers called them furious because a door was left unlocked or something? Something that was out of your control. Or you put in the MLS, please wear booties, please wear a mask, and they don't. And the homeowner gets rightfully upset. Right? Buyers in a traditional market, Disclaimer, this is not a traditional market. Are typically happy. They get to go look at houses, it's fun, it's like HGTV. They don't care that it's Sunday. For them, this is a hobby. Not a hobby, but this is fun. So it's much different. So you gotta know what you're wired for. I learned real quick in this business, I was wired for sellers. First time I showed a house, I said, this is the bathroom, it's got a toilet, this is the kitchen, it's got a refrigerator. What material are the countertops? I said they're solid. And I realized real quick I was not good with buyer's agent. I tried to open up the lockbox, I couldn't open up the lockbox. They were my friends, of course they bought with somebody else, that's what friends do. Right, but I was not comfortable. But I started scaling the listing side of the business, which I was very comfortable in. And I went in to REOs and bank-owned properties, which everyone thinks, oh, Carl, that must be great. They give you a listing agreement, you put the house on the market, and it sells. There's no work behind it. A lot of work behind REOs. And when I talk about having to build systems and to be able to scale it, REOs is definitely something that you have to do. So I was able to scale the business and focus mostly on listings and do residential listings and just go strictly listing side. I was able to build a team, have buyers. I didn't have to pay for buyers leads because you know what happens when you get listings? You get buyer leads. You know what I tell agents if they're having an issue with their business? Hey, I need more buyers lead, I need more this, I need more time. I said this to someone yesterday. I said, you know what you have to do? You have to GFL. They're like, well, yeah. I'm like, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? Like, no, no clue. GFL, get F listings. Get F in listings. Because when you get the listings, it solves all other problems. You get more time, you get more leads, you get more control of the business. So, snapshot, what are we seeing in today's market? The pandemic. Right, the last time I did a training in this room was March 10, 2020. And I did a different listing leads presentation. And you know what I talked about in that presentation? How it's a competitive market. Man, did I not know what we were in for. This is a competitive market. March 2020 was not a competitive market compared to this. The end of March 2020 was really not a competitive market. But we are in the most competitive market because what happened with COVID, interest rates dropped significantly. I remember in the beginning, the rates went from 3.5 up to 5. So, well, this is going to be interesting. And then the next day dropped to about 2.5 to 3. What happens? People are at home. Who here saw the Saturday Night Live skit about Zillow? About the people searching, the new addiction of searching Zillow and looking for your dream houses. Right? I was guilty of it. I'm looking at that house. I'm like, oh, I could live in Naples, Florida. You know? A lot of people started moving. We're seeing contracts being canceled because people thought they were moving because they were going to be able to stay working at home. And guess what? They have to go back to the office. I think we're going to see a lot of people who bought in the last year not stay that long because life and plans have changed. Inventory. Inventory has declined rapidly. It's starting to loosen back up. Started. And agents are funny. You know why? Oh, Carl, there's no inventory. I don't know. This is crazy. Maybe I'm in the wrong field. I mean, there's literally no inventory. It's going to loosen up. It loosens up a little bit. Oh, Carl, the market's about to crash. There's more inventory. What's going on? I'm so nervous. So you're upset when there was no inventory, and now that there's a little bit of inventory, you're upset. So it's important. So things. The only thing that's constant in this business is that things change. Who here has been in the business for more than 10 years? We've seen a lot of different markets. 2011 was not a fun year. Yeah. See, everyone that was in the market in 2011 went, yep. Right? Houses that you see selling now for $600,000 were selling for $250,000. couldn't give them away relative to how we see it now. You know, I've seen it. I've seen properties that I sold as an REO in 2010, and I've seen the price 4 times as high as it was when I sold it in 2010. Right? I think we're going to see prices start leveling off, because what's happening is some sellers are astronomical in their asking price. How many times have you gone on the computer and you've seen a listing and go, I can't believe they're even asking for that? All right, this is a room of full disclosure. Who here has done that and then saw it go to attorney review 2 days later and go, oh, there goes that. Right? So it goes both ways. And I've been there. Right? I've seen a house go on the market and I'm like, there's no way. I'm going to wait till that's 100. Oh, never mind, attorney review.
And then on top of that, they await their price.
And then but we're starting to see a lot of that, I think. We're going to see more inventory. I think we're seeing buyers. I talk about this all the time. There's a lot of fatigue right now. A lot of people are going on vacation. A lot of people are just burned out from the last 6 months to year. Things are opening back up. I think that's going to create more inventory. I think it's going to create more inventory too, because people are going to get a better idea of what's going to happen in their life in the next few years with work. A lot of people change jobs. So I think we're going to keep seeing some more inventory come up, and I think we are going to see rates go up. Rates have to go up. Rates are not supposed to be at 2.5%. I was at a conference with a Freddie Mac financial advisor. Freddie Mac, the government-based advisor loans. It's basically saying anytime you go borrow money under 4% is like borrowing money for free. Yes. What's happening with inflation? Is it going up or is it going down? It's going up. So what's that going to do to rates? It's going to drive the rates up. If inflation's at 8%, they're not going to let people borrow money at 2.5%. It's just economics. But luckily, the agents in this room are going to be prepared. And let me just full disclosure, I don't think, who here was in the market in 2008? In 2008, you saw top producers run out of the business in 3 months. Not 6 months, not a year. Literally got an award in January and in March are out of the business. I saw it in the office I was in. I don't think we have 2008 coming. I think the government's going to step in and forbearances, workout programs and stuff. They do, I don't think the government wants to see another 2008, and I don't think banking is in a much riskier place than as it was in 2008. I literally remember I was doing REOs, I had an account called IndyMac Bank. I remember eating dinner with my dad, watching people storm IndyMac Bank to take their money out of the ATM, like it was the Great Depression, because the bank was shutting down. And I remember I just looked up at my dad and go, well, there goes that account. Things are constantly changing. What is also another big factor in today's listing inventory? The number of agents getting into the business. We have more agents in the business today than pretty much ever in history. We have more agents than we have transactions. So what happens to the agents that were raising their hand in 2008 and who here has ever thought they were getting a listing or something and or they were working with a buyer, and then they ended up working with their friend's mother's cousin who just got into the business? Yep. Had that happened to anybody in this room? Yes. I hate to give you this news flash. It's going to continue to happen. Who here got their real estate license and you had to go sit in a dark, smelly, cramped room for 120 hours or 90 hours, whatever it was, right? Just praying for a break, just praying to get out early. Now you can get your real estate license on the comfort of your lazy boy recliner while having a glass of wine. So the one biggest barrier of entry we had to get in the business was that you actually had to physically go to the class. That barrier has been removed. And listen, I don't think it's all bad, but what I'm just saying is there's more and more agents. My job here is to let you know what I see happening in the industry. So more agents are going to get in, but in my prediction, and we just renewed real estate licenses, which is a fun process as a broker. In 2 years, when renewals come up, if the market shifts, we see licenses decrease. It's kind of the natural evolution. So, you have to be confident to be a listing agent. Do you ever wonder why the same agent gets all the listings? And I know some of you are like, I can't believe, I can't believe that agent she gets so many listings, or he gets so many listings, they don't know what they're doing, right? I hear it. But you know what that agent does that has a lot of listings? They are extremely confident. They know the service they're going to provide. They know what they can bring the homeowner, and they know they're confident in getting the listings. Sometimes I talk to some new agents, they're like, well, I'm going to go right after listings. I'm going to go right ahead. It's hard. Some agents can pull it off. I did it. I faked it till I made it. But I was also confident. But I also remember going into a listing appointment that I had that was a referral from my friend's parents, and it was one of the first listing appointments I ever went on. It was a train wreck. I was so embarrassed. I remember getting back into my Nissan Altima thinking, what am I doing in this business? Because I went in the listing appointment, my pricing was off, I got chewed up. You know why? I wasn't confident. Who here can remember their first listing appointment? I can remember mine because it was terrible. And do you remember how nervous you were going into that listing appointment? What do I say? Do they like me? When I turn the page? Right? You might bring in your laptop the first time because you heard some seminar, that's how you should do it, and you're like, oh, you see on page 7 of my PowerPoint presentation how professional pictures are the best things you can do to sell your house. Don't you agree, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And they're just like, get out. I was selling my house and I was an agent, and someone came in with a PowerPoint. Listen, if you use a PowerPoint presentation, I'm not saying don't do it, but don't do it to me. But think about how you are now compared to the first time you went on a listing appointment. It's like this. I was so nervous opening up a lockbox. I still get nervous opening up a lockbox. It never works for me. Right? It never works for me. But think about how confident you are now compared to you were the first time. It's natural. So you have to be ultra confident, and you have to be ultra confident in your listing presentation. I can't stress this enough. If you are not confident in your listing presentation, you are not going to be confident in generating listing leads. You know why? What if they say yes and I have to go in there and present? Right? Then you lug your 17-inch laptop with a PowerPoint presentation on it. You have to be confident in your listing presentation. Who here thinks they're confident in their listing presentation? Right? If you're not, you should be role-playing it. Right? With the mirror, I've been there, looking at myself. I wouldn't even list my house with myself. But you got it. The more and more you practice, right? Realtors are funny. Nobody likes role-playing. You know who are the worst people to role-play with? Other realtors. You know why? They give you the most outrageous scenario ever. I've done plenty of listing presentation trainings where I role-play with an agent, and they just start giving, this doesn't happen in real life. Right? But find someone to role play. My poor wife has been an agent, has been a seller, buyer. Because you got to practice your dialogue. And you know what the real secret is to a good listing presentation? And if a lot of you have been to my listing presentation training or Olivier's listing presentation, you would know. Do you know what the best thing you can do in a listing presentation to really knock it out of the park? Does anyone have any guess? Rocco, I see you over there. Do you want to take a guess? What's the best thing you could do in a listing presentation?
Speak yourself.
Besides that. Because you can't, but sometimes you have to mimic the person you're sitting across the table from. If you're sitting with somebody who's very analytical, you better not go in there and be all fluffy and salesy. If you come in and just be all analytical and data-driven with me, I'll just be so bored. But you have to be a chameleon to who you're presenting to. But you know how you can do that? Ask good questions. You know, we have a sheet, 13 questions that we like to ask every seller. You have to ask good questions. Because newsflash, you know it's not always the most important thing to a seller? Top dollar and how fast you sell the house. You know why? If you think that's the most important thing when you speak to a seller right now, what's going to happen? Right? Oh, top dollar, how fast you can sell it. Well, I don't want you to sell it too fast, like I have nowhere to go. How many people have talked to sellers and they're not ready to go because they're afraid to go out there and buy? You know why? Because people are putting on Facebook lines of 75 people at an open house and you're scaring the hell out of the seller. Serious. They're thinking, I gotta have all these people come through my house? Right? I mean, this is one of the only times that you can actually get away with a contingency of the seller finding something. And I always say too, it's magic. When they find something, when they sell their house, they usually find something pretty quick. But with that caveat, we have seen some deals that have been dying because the seller can't find a house. You know, we also see this. A lot of people are saying, oh, I'm not going after for sale by owners. Because right now, they might not need it, whatever else. For sale by owners need agents more now than ever. With all the offers and everything. And you could confidently say you will probably help them get more because it's so tough to navigate through all these offers. Heck, a lot of agents don't understand the appraisal waivers and stuff. How is a homeowner who's not even an agent going to really understand it? Right? Our job is to educate the FSBOs. So a little bit about my story. It was 15 years ago. Wow, it's 15 years ago. I say that out loud. I haven't done this in a while. 15 years ago, I got into real estate. I started going after REOs, and it was in 2006. Does anyone know what happened in 2006?
Yeah, market slowed down.
Market was like this. 2006, things were humming.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Right? I had agents sitting around the office talking about this market like it was the great white. Wait, they're like, they just called it the market. I'm like, what's the market? All right, I'm 25 years old. I just got into business. I had no clue what I was doing. I lived off a credit card with 0% interest for 12 months. I said, I'm either going to make it or I'm not. I'm going to go back and get a real job because my dad's probably going to kick me out of the house if I don't make it. You know, so I started in April 2006 and 2007. I did about $15 million in volume. Disclaimer, $15 million in volume in 2007 was a lot different than $15 million in volume right now. A lot of units. You know, I was able to bridge that gap from April to December to build $15 million worth of volume. Do you guys want to know what my secret was? I worked my ass off. I went in every day like it was a job, 9 to 5. There was this thing, you don't see it much anymore. It sat on a desk. It had 9 digits on it. It had a cord, and on the other end, you press some buttons and you get people on the other end. Right? A phone. I got really, really good on the phone. And I think being good on the phone is one of the most underutilized skills today. And this is why. Right? Texting and follow-up and all that's good. Matt, I text you, how was your day? What can you do when I text you?
Respond.
You can respond, but you have to respond right away?
No.
Can you craft your day the way you want it to sound?
Sure.
Right? My day was unicorns and chocolate and roses. You know, it's like my 4-year-old's perfect day. But if I have you on the phone and I say, Matt, how was your day? Do you get to really sit there and craft a response when you're having a conversation? Right? Because it's more, you're going to react. You're not going to sit there in silence. So So being good on the phone will help you increase your listings, period. And if you're not comfortable on the phone, I suggest you just keep trying it more. Because I was nervous as heck on the phone. But I built my business on it. Right? I started doing REOs. You know, it wasn't like REO companies, it wasn't like Countrywide. I don't know if many of you remember Countrywide. It wasn't like Countrywide called me one day and say, hey Carl, I know how hard you're working in your 3-foot cubicle in Hillsborough, New Jersey. We would love to give you some listings. I used to call 1-800-Countrywide. Right? You wanted to talk about a deep dive to nowhere? And I would have a way to get around the gatekeeper, get to the asset manager, be able to build rapport. And you know what I did to these asset managers when I got them on the phone? I asked really good questions. What are you looking for in an agent? If we were to work together, how would you want me to communicate? Better yet, if I did something, if I made a mistake, because it's going to happen if we have a long relationship together, how should I approach you and tell you about it? How truthful do you want me to be with you throughout this process on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being extremely truthful about what's happening with the asset? All questions I would ask sellers. You know, what are the top 3 things you think your last agent could have done for you better? I'd ask that to an Expire. Do you know why I would ask that to an Expire? They would tell me what they want. I'm not that smart. Why am I trying to figure it out? So I would ask those questions, they tell me what they want. Guess what I was able to go in and tell them what I'm good at? The 3 things they wanted. To be a good listing agent, it's not about you, it's about the seller. I say this, I see too many agents bragging their way to get listings. Right? Guy's been in my seminar, I heard him speak before, you know this one, right? The sellers don't care your circle of excellence magenta, or whatever color. My dad has no idea what circle of excellence means. Right? But my dad, when he sold his house, and he listed it with me. Oh man, got a cash offer in the first week. I knew he listed it too low. I'm like, Dad, you could be in my seminar. Right, but it's about the right expectations. The more you focus on the seller when you're going after listings or in your listing presentation, the better off you're gonna do. It's not about you. You're there to help solve their issues and needs, and you could be rewarded handsomely for it. So, ways to generate listings. First one, expires. I know some of you were thinking, 5 creative ways to generate listings, and the first one is expires. I've been hearing about expires for years. I've done this with some agents. You know how most people call expires? What expired yesterday, let's call them today at 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Has anyone ever heard that in expired trainings? Why would you, everybody's calling, it's the same group of people calling them every day. They all went to a Mike Ferry seminar and they all started calling expires the next day. Let's go back to this. What happened in March 2020? COVID, pandemic. What usually starts in March? Spring market. So we had a very delayed spring market in 2020, right? Because April was definitely not a spring market. What happened in November 2019? Sellers took house would expire, get taken off the market for what? The holidays. When would they say they would relist? Spring of when? What happened? You guys are connecting the dots. This is good. So guess who might not have relisted? November 2019. Right? I was going to call expires. I would go to fall 2019. Make sure they haven't relisted. You know, do your due diligence. How many people do you think are calling those leads? Compared to who's calling the expire that just happened today. And frankly, how many properties are we seeing expiring right now? So let's take this, Carl, I don't like calling expireds. You know, I really don't like it. So if you're working in an area and you see an expired in that area you're working, just go door knock. Right? Go face to face. A year ago I might not say door knock, but now you can door knock. Get in front of them, get belly, give them something of value. Right? But these are the traditional ways. You go to a seminar on how to generate listings, right? You want to work by referral, and you want to do mailers, you want to do FISBOs, you want to do expires. I'm not saying this doesn't work. It works. But we're just talking about ways where it's so competitive. Because if everybody's going left, I'm a firm believer, and sometimes you need to go right. When you talk to expireds, I've heard people make expired calls, and it's like a race to get off the phone. What do I mean by that? It's like, well, you know, Carl told me to call expired. Hey, sorry, how's it going on the market? You want to talk to another realtor? No, okay, bye. Like, one call. Two. You slow down. Mauricio, I saw your house at 123 Main Street. Came off the market in November 2019. We could all agree a lot happened since then. Have you thought about reselling the house? Or what would make you think about putting your house back on the market? You gotta go with your tone, you gotta slow down, and trust me, I'm a very quick talker naturally, right? Use my hands, pop, pop, pop. When you're calling expires and you're doing sales calls, you just gotta slow down, have a little fun with it, stand up, walk around. But go after those 2019, or do this. Who here has just had a couple listings sell in the neighborhood, in the same neighborhood or the same complex? Anybody? Go back to those expires in that complex. Call, door knock, get in front of them. Because now you have something to say. You have social proof. Hey Kathy, I just sold 2 of your neighbors' houses. I know you were on the market back in 2019. Here's some information. Here's some comps in case you're thinking about you want to get back on the market. Go back on the market. I'd love an opportunity to work with you. Right? It's sort of like, has anyone heard of circle prospecting? Where you get a listing and you call the radius around it. It's obviously not one of my 5 or I wouldn't be talking about it. But it's just kind of doing that to another level. Who's expired around that house in the last year or 2? Especially if it's condominium complex. Because you're seeing a lot of people in the last 2-3 years with everything that happened and being at home, looking to move on from a condo or townhouse to a single family. Any questions about that? So expired, if you're looking at resources for phone numbers and things like that, I always recommend Vulcan 7. Cole Realty is another one to get phone numbers. Land Voice, RedX. There's a ton of different ones out there. But again, if you don't pick up the call, if you don't knock on the door, if you don't mail them something, and you can even have an expired package that you created. You know, Wayne Frederick talks about this. A lot of you know Wayne is one of my personal mentors and good friends, about putting together an expired package with a yellow sticky note on it, like, thought that you could find this useful, thinking of selling. And it's just your pre-listing packet. Right? Expires doesn't have to be sitting there just making calls all day. But what do we know about expires? They had an interest in selling, and they're open to working with a realtor. So 2 things you don't have to fight them about. So, next one. I think this is one of the biggest opportunities right now that's being ignored. Absentee owners. Who here knows what an absentee owner is? Investors, landlords, executors, estates. That's the word I'm looking for. People moved out of town. You know what happened in 2010 and 2011 because the market was so bad? A lot of people became landlords when they didn't want to. because they bought their house in 2007, 2006. In 2011, they had no equity in the house, but they wanted to move. So what would they? So their only option was to rent the house. And a lot of them found out really quick they really didn't like being landlords. Right? Being a landlord is not for everybody. So absentee owners are just exactly that. They're absent from the property. So, what's some of the challenges we're facing when selling houses? I don't know where I'm going to go. Does an absentee owner worry about where they're going? They could care less. Let's just say it's somebody who bought the property in the scenario I told you about, that equity. Do you think they have equity right now? How many times have you talked to a landlord who are just like, sell me this house, tenants are driving me crazy? This is such a massive opportunity because you can also leverage how prices are at all-time highs. So Carl, where can I get absentee owners? You can get it through Remind, which is part of the MLS system. You can get it through PropStream, PROPSTREAM. You can buy a list of absentee owners. And you know what else some investors have? This isn't that tricky. Multiple properties. So you get the address of where the absentee owner lives, you get their phone number, let's just say you get their address. What kind of things could you do to go after absentee owners? You can mail them, you can call them, you can send, mail them, send them information, send them a couple comps of recent sales. You can send them articles. Now, we're not accountants, but there is talks about the 1031 exchange going away. Hasn't been passed, but there's talks about it. Could be a good time to sell an investment property and look at doing a 1031 exchange. So I think absentee owners are one of the biggest avenues to go after. Right? You get an email address, you could do a video email. There's different ways that you can go after absentee owners, but I think this is one of the biggest areas right now. Have landlords over the last year had it easy or hard?
Hard.
Forbearance there's still forbearance, but there's also still the eviction moratorium. So a lot of landlords could not be paying the mortgage right now through forbearance because they're not collecting rent. But what are they thinking in the back of their head? What happens when this all ends? Nobody knows what it's going to look like. Nobody knows how it's going to shake out. But what we do know is the market is hot and prices are high. And I don't know about you, I enjoy working with investors. Personally, I enjoy working with investors better than regular homeowners. Most of the time. So just something to think about is really focusing with the absentee owners. I can speak for my partner Olivier Lewis. In his sales career, he built a huge sales business working with investors and absentee owners. Had it down like clockwork. Right? I know agents during the quote-unquote lockdown of quarantine that were picking up absentee owner listings because they were vacant. And there was a time where pretty much agents were only showing vacant properties, right? Last April, we're seeing that. So this is such a huge market to go after. Any questions about absentee owner? Any questions at all? Short sales. I just read an article how we could be facing the highest delinquency rate in mortgages after this since 2008.
Wow.
So, this is most agents, how they prospect for short sales. Somebody calls them and says, I'm underwater in my house, can you sell it? Oh, that's a short sale. I proactively marketed towards short sales. Again, none of the agents wanted to do it. What are some of the advantages to marketing a short sale? One, I didn't have to do open houses. And on Sunday, I really like watching the Giants and the Yankees, so that worked out well for me. Two, never really got into price arguments with the seller. And my strategy with short sales was I always tried to price them what I thought was close to fair market value. Because when I go to negotiate a short sale, I only want to do it once. Some agents will put it on low and let's see what the bank says, but that expires. I don't like wasting time. I like to try to get it done on the first shot. There was a year, as an agent, I closed 55 short sales. 55 short sales. From Franklinville, New Jersey. Does anyone know where Franklinville, New Jersey is? It was the day after my engagement party. My wife like that, oh, so I gotta go home, I gotta get up early tomorrow, I gotta drive to Franklinville. All the way up to Teaneck. So Franklinville is down like Gloucester County. But it was a time where I needed the business, and we had a system. We had a system of how we lead generated the short sales. We had a system of how we intook the short sale phone call. And then we had a system with the paperwork and the negotiations. Out of those 55 short sales, how many third-party authorization forms do you think I was on? What that is when you're doing a short sale, the homeowner is giving you permission to speak to the bank. I was on 2. I negotiated probably 2 of the short sales myself. The rest we had a very good connection with an attorney who did a great job to be able to scale. Because if I had to try to negotiate 55 short sales on my own, I couldn't do it. So the reason I like talking about short sales is, yeah, they're not really in the market today, but they could be tomorrow. And if they are tomorrow, will you be able to handle it? Right? And you learn over time what to do, what not to do. So I'll tell you how we generate short sale listings. Do you know how you can find out someone's in foreclosure? It's public record. It is public record. You can pull it off the tax, you can pull it off a realist or mine. So what happens is when someone starts with the foreclosure process, it's like getting served a lawsuit. So it gets put into the public record. So what we did was we mailed to homeowners. My sister-in-law at the time was in college. She was probably 21, 22. We sent out 500 handwritten letters on yellow paper. And I paid her to just write the first name. So it was all photocopied, so it would say Dear Blank, and they'd write Dear Kim, Dear Coral, Dear Bob, Bob, Bob. She wanted to kill me. I sent it out. 4 years later, I got a phone call from a homeowner in Hillsborough who said, I saved your letter. I want to do a short sale. So that mailing and everything cost me a couple $1,000s. Probably from that one mailing, I got about 10 listings that closed. It was worth it in my book. And it's not all low prices. I did a short sale in Interlaken, New Jersey, right next to Deal on a lake for $1.1 million. And I did one in Riverside, New Jersey for $40,000, but you know. Everybody likes to hear about the high price one, but not the low price one. But I didn't mind because we had a system. We would generate the leads. Somebody would get my letter, they would call a phone number, and I would know they were calling off that letter. My phone would ring short sale lead. So I talk about this all the time when using tracking phone numbers. Do you think my phone call was a lot different because I knew who was calling me? I hear agents pick up the phone, hello, and on the other end, it's like, I'm thinking about selling my house, and then they get like their like DJ voice, like, why hello? Right? Their whole attitude changes. But if you have the tracking phone number and you know the person's calling you on that lead, I guarantee you right now that if somebody called saying it was a short sale lead or a listing lead, you would fly out of the room to take the phone call. As agents, we're pretty bad at picking up our phone. I get it. It's always someone trying to sell you something, right? You get the Seattle phone number, Zillow, Trulia, sell you bot leads. If you got tracking numbers, I knew if somebody was calling me off the mailer. We also had a website that we optimized for SEO. SEO is getting ranked high on Google, as well as pay-per-click leads. So what happened is this, because I reverse engineered the homeowner's experience, because it's not about you, it's about the homeowner. When people were looking to do a short sale, they would call their bank. Do you know what the bank would tell them? The bank would say you need to find a short sale specialist and list your house. So if you didn't have an agent or somebody to do, what did you do next? Where do people go when they don't know and try to get an answer? Google. What would they type in?
Short sale expert.
And who was there? With a web page that was all focused on how to do a short sale. And I had testimonials on it. I had social proof of other people we helped out in their situation. And I tell homeowners all the time when they do a short sale, I said, you know what's the biggest thing I find when people do a short sale successfully? They say, I feel like a big weight has been lifted off my shoulders. So we had it down. So we get the phone call, we set the appointment, we do the consultation on the phone. I would show up with the listing agreement, the bank documents I needed, a camera, a lockbox. I had them all prepped, get everything signed, boom, in and out of the house in an hour. I had an assistant, we would hand it to, she would take the paperwork, put it in the MLS. She was licensed, she handled the phone calls and everything. We get the contract, we send it to the attorney with a full package. That's how we were able to turn 55. So it's all about how to set up this system and how to scale it, no matter what business you're doing. Who here would love to sell 55 listings in a year? Right? When you start getting to those big numbers, you're going to need help. There's only so many hours in a day. So that's how we set up to scale our short sale business. We would do Google pay-per-click ads. We would mail the pre-foreclosure list. Again, you can get that off of PropStream. We would door knock and leave a hanger. But you know what I was able to do? Is I was able to track out of all of our different ways of generating leads, which was the best and which was the worst. Because I talk to agents, and a lot of times they think something's a good lead source. Oh yeah, I get calls off of that. But when we track it and we measure it with tracking phone numbers or email page, certain landing pages, they realize that a lead source wasn't really as good as they thought it was. But I was so dialed in, I'm like, okay, I know we can cut this. We're not getting the results. Let's take the time and energy and the money we put into this, and let's put it into this source that's working well. And this wasn't me guessing. This was me looking at data, analyzing, and doubling down on it. And that's how you scale. Right? There's people out there going to sell you programs on how to scale. It's really not that hard. It's just taking those extra steps. So I'm a big advocate in tracking phone numbers and put different numbers in all your lead sources. We use programs like Better Voice, Callfire. We even have a video on how to set up Better Voice. But the tracking phone numbers has been a huge difference in measuring what's been working and what hasn't worked. Next technique is video. 7 people just rolled their eyes at that. You know why I'm so passionate about talking about video? Because it works. Again, this isn't theory. Matt just said something to me this morning. He goes, you know, Carl, ever since I came on, all I do is see your face every morning when I wake up. Gym, trainings, talking. Sorry, Matt. Right? But what's good with video? especially during the pandemic, more so than ever, where are people spending their time? I see now people on their phones. It's okay, I'm not saying that like, oh, put your phone away. But that's where people are spending their time. So meet people where they're at. What is one of the biggest demographics of sellers? What age group? I'll just tell you. Right, 50 plus. Why do you think 55 communities are so popular, so big? Because that's the age where you have a lot of sellers. I was reading a study, you know who's one of the biggest users of Facebook? 55 and above, 50 and above women. So meet them where they're at. If they're on social media, you have to be there. You're using video. And disclaimer, you don't need a production team to do this. Right? When I started doing video, it was about 4 years ago, before it was so cool now, you know? It was 4 years ago we started making a big, heavy investment into video. What does video do? It makes you have a connection with somebody. Who here has seen the article of like the actor who gets in trouble? And everyone's like, oh, I can't believe Bob Saget did that. He was Danny Tanner on Full House. And he's talking about, well, I won't talk about what he talks about. Right? But why do people do that? It's because they see him, and they think they know him. You don't know him, but you see him. People build that relationship. So you can meet them where you're at. You can't be afraid about it, and the truth is, the way you look and sound on video is the way you look and sound in real life. Right? I have less hair on video than I like to think I have in real life. Right? We did a video challenge in our office. I can't tell you, probably 80% of the agents that participated in the video challenge all got leads. Sellers and buyers. Do you know how much money they spent during this challenge? 0. I see agents who will throw down a credit card on anything that's $19.99 a month that's going to get them a listing. Right? We always say you can spend $19.99 a month in this business and go broke. But why not try to do video to invest into your business? You can create a non-branded Facebook page, Instagram page, YouTube video. Who here would love just to sell in one town and not drive around everywhere? Right? How do you become your local celebrity? That's what you want to do with video. You want to be the local agent celebrity. You have to be all about that town. Who here sees a new business or a new restaurant open up in town and you're Googling it? Am I the only one? I see a new restaurant, what's the menu, we're going to go check it out or whatever else. What you could also do too is this, is you can interview local businesses. You can interview the mayor. You can then take this, put it on your non-branded page. You can spend as little as $5 a day, so $150 a month. Full disclosure, I think my Starbucks bill at the end of the month might be bigger. And you can generate leads. And it doesn't always have to be, if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate, all. It's about just being seen and being recognized. And people will reach out to you through Messenger. I can't tell you. There's agents that have joined our company who I didn't have their cell phone number because everything was done through Facebook Messenger. So what I'm telling you again is not theory. This is stuff that we're doing on the company level. Putting videos out, and everything always having to do a call to action. Right? Drop putting your phone number in there. People will reach out to you through Messenger. And if you don't have Messenger on your phone, you should have it. But it's such a great way, and just you have to be consistent. You don't have to do it every day. But it doesn't always have to be real estate. So you put it on your non-branded page, you share it to your personal page. You can then boost around that area. You could do a market report. You just do things about the town. You could leverage big events. Like for instance, Milltown is known for having like a big 4th of July fireworks. You know, in the fall you're gonna start seeing a lot of like East Brunswick Day, Cranford Day, things like that. Just leverage these events in video and just keep them going and building brand awareness. It's like having your own billboard where everybody is on the phone. Right? Olivier always talks about this too. If you're trying to really double down on an area, become the go-to person, your signs in front yards are your billboards. So what you're going to also do with the video is you become that go-to, you become that resource. I don't know how many here follow Gary Vee, right? He's always talking about just building that brand, being there, being the go-to. You want to build a magnet. How many of you prefer just to pick up your phone and there's a lead, or somebody sends you a message that's a lead, then you having to try to call somebody and convince them to work with you? Do you want to be the magnet? That's when your business is firing on all cylinders, is when you're being the magnet. So people ask me, well, Carl, what about business page and personal page? Your business page means nothing. Period. Truth. I said I'm going to be transparent with you. Nobody cares about your business page. Facebook will take its whole time to make sure your business page isn't seen. When is your business page seen? When you're running ads. Who here thinks Facebook is a for-profit company? Are they going to give you your business that exposure for free, or are they going to charge you? All right. But what's good about the video is this. Where are a lot of your past clients' fear on social media? Right? You're connected to them on Facebook or whatever else. So when you do this video and you get out there, guess what you're now doing with your past clients in your sphere? You're staying top of mind. So what's good with it, and I know a lot of you already do a great job with video, but this is such a great way to stay on top of mind. Let's just say you're doing a client appreciation event. You do a video inviting your past clients, and then you can just send it to them through direct messenger. You just DM the invite. So what happens is this. Tell me if I lose you. I send Rocco a video through DM. Rocco plays the video. What happens the next time Rocco goes back on Facebook? Or Instagram? Because they own it. He suddenly sees my video and my posts. You know why? Because I'm relevant. That's how the Facebook algorithm works. How many here are connected to people on algorithm and you never see them post? And then you go to their page like, oh, they still post. You're right? Has that happened to anybody? Because the Facebook algorithm is telling them that you're not important. So let's just say you have this video. And you're talking about the best restaurant in Edison, New Jersey. You take the video and then you put it in an email and send it out to all your past clients or leads in that area. What happens? They get the video email, they press play, it's playing the Facebook video. So now what happens the next time they go back on Facebook? They start seeing your stuff again. This is just how to stay top of mind. So if you want to build a magnet and you want to be that go-to person in town, billboards, everything works great, you know. But be in front of them in social media. You could boost around that area with a small radius around it with your content about the town. Because if I am selling my house and I don't have a relationship with an agent, but I keep seeing an agent who knows about that town, they become that go-to authority. That's what Gary Vee talks about all the time, is how you become the go-to authority. It's just by being seen. And the best part of this is it doesn't cost a lot of money. But you know what it does cost? Time, effort, stepping out of your comfort zone, and consistency. Man, I hate seeing myself on video. We just went live in the beginning of this, and I just realized I forgot I did that, and I'm going to go back and look, and I'm going to cringe. But you know what I like about video? The results it has created. And I am more obsessed with the results I've created than I am about the trolls on the internet, who are mostly my friends that I went to college with. If you saw a group text I had, you would see all my videos in not nice ways. So again, I just harp on this because it really works. If you do it systemized, the power is strong. We have an agent, I'm not going to say their name, they're in this room, did a seller seminar. Always wanted to do a seller seminar. Did a Facebook video. Kept telling me they weren't good on video. The first video, the first take, they nailed it. I don't even think they ran ads, but they put it into their, some of their local community pages. They sent it to some people through direct message, and they had results from it. With little to no money. But what did that agent do? She put the work in, she stepped outside her comfort zone, she wasn't afraid to make a mistake. You're going to make mistakes when you're trying new prospecting ways. But you can do seller seminars. And a lot of stuff we were doing in the seller seminars was how to show your house safely during the pandemic. How to be able to sell your house and close on your terms as the seller. How to make small improvements to your house and get a big return. We have other agents who generated a ton of business on the buy and the seller side by doing the videos in Spanish and focusing on the Spanish market. And I said to this agent, I noticed on one of their videos they had all these views. I'm like, you want to generate some business today? Just do some videos, do a seminar, have people come in. And I think they got about 11 buyers from it. So you just flip it on the head. People are like, well, what happens if I only have 2 sellers show up? Oh, you don't want 2 listings, do you? God forbid that happens. Right? And then what happens is you run it quarterly. You run it consistently. And the seller seminars, it could be over Zoom or it could be, you could do something like this. Because you know what happens when you do those seminars? Guess who's the expert? Me. Guess I don't have to sell them. They want to work with me. That is what you can do with video marketing and building a magnet. We have an agent in our Hamilton office. She went through this training. She shared this at one of our masterminds. I talked about doing monthly marketing updates, monthly status. Talking about prices and data. She said once a month she would do a video email to her past clients. She said a lot of them are kind of funny ones and things like that. She goes, she did this training and she changed it up and she went data driven. I could share this story. How many listings do you think she got from that one email? Data driven to her past clients doing a video. If you're in her mastermind and you're in her group, she shared it. She got 4 listings from one video email. 4! Right? She had a big database, but she said, Carl, I never got such results. But just switching up my video a little bit created it. Because we have a saying. One of my mentors that I've had, John Cheplack, always says is, small hinges swing big doors. She made one little small change in her business. One little small change. and it created massive results. Too many agents are looking for a new way or a huge swiping difference in the bid to make a difference in their business. It's usually what you're doing, having somebody else look at it and give you a few small ways that you can move the needle in your business. 4 listings in the most competitive real estate market ever. And they weren't 4 listing appointments. They were 4 ink dried on a listing. And you can't be salesy, right? Like I said, you can't always have a call to action. You can't always have, they'll call me, this, that. You just can't. Because people will get turned off when it's too salesy. You have 3 seconds to gain the attention of somebody on social media. 3 seconds. So do you know what you don't want to do in those 3 seconds? Hey, everybody watching. Boom, gone. Nobody's watching. Hey, Facebook world. Hey, this. 5. You have 3 seconds. 5 creative ways to generate listings and change your business today. Hi, everybody. It's Carl Sanfilippo. Again, what I'm telling you is not theory. It's what we're doing. And seeing good results from. You always want to start with a hook. 13 homes that sold in Cranford over list price in the last 2 weeks. Hi, it's Carl Sanfilippo. Right? Because if you're thinking about selling, what do you really want to know? Not a trick question. If you're selling your house, come on, a little interactive part. If you're selling your house, what do you really want to know?
How the market is going.
You want to know how the market's doing. You want to know what it's selling for. Right? Who here sees their neighbor house go on the market, 1, get mad they didn't list it with you, 2, want to know right away what the house is listed for? Right? I have 2 on my block, and if you follow me on social media and your stories, I put up ridiculous pictures of me walking with a weighted vest. But I was walking the other day with my weighted vest, and 2 houses down from me I saw a for sale sign come on. What did I do? Right away I Googled the address because I wanted to know the price. If you're thinking about selling, people want to know what the houses are listed for. They want to know what they're selling for. So give them the information they want. It doesn't always have to be like, I don't need to know how to make like a cheesecake when I'm selling my house. I want to know what other houses are selling for so I can get an idea of what my house is going to sell for. And what are people doing right now when they want to find out what the value of their house is? Gareth, are they calling you first?
No, I'm calling Zillow.
Right? They're checking their Zestimate, they're checking the Realtor.com value, they're checking all the different values. It's like buying a car. When you go buy a car, what's the first thing people are looking at? The dealers' websites, auto traders, because they're like, oh man, if I call this dealer, they're going to be calling me forever. Right, Suzelle? They're going to stay on top of you. So they're checking it out online. People are doing the same thing with houses now. So this goes into the video marketing. You need to have really good social proof. I was talking about this with some people yesterday. Right? You should have a Google business page with reviews. You should have some Zillow reviews. You should have an up-to-date headshot. Because what's going to happen is, if you don't know them, even if they're a referral, they're going to Google you. If you Google yourself, are you going to show up the way you want to show up? If not, you got to work on it. People want social proof. Right? If I was decided I was going back into sales and I was going on listing appointments, you better believe that I would be sending the homeowner either video testimonials or testimonials, something before I get into the appointment. Because what happens is most agents are getting the reviews, going into the homeowner, start talking about the price of their house, and shoving paperwork in their face, and they don't even get to review it. Has anyone been guilty of that? Yeah, you all have. I've done it, right? You give them the paperwork and you realize, how do they read my reviews? I've been talking the whole time. Right? Giving them the review, sending them a video. Here's social proof. I mean, how many times do you go onto a sales webpage for whatever? I mean, everyone's selling everything. That you see the testimonials from everybody. I was doing that on my short sale website back in 2012 because people want to see the social proof. How many times do you talk to a seller like, oh, how'd you get me? Well, I read your reviews and I liked what other people said, so I wanted to call you. You gotta promote that stuff. You gotta do it. Man, it's even as simple as, one of the agents we had in our Cranford, he did a tremendous job of getting reviews from his clients at the closing table. And why is that such a good idea? At the closing table is the biggest time you're going to be, if the closing goes well, it's the biggest time to get people to say yes to do things. Right? Hey, would you mind doing a video review for me right now, right? Sure, we're so excited we just got the house. That's one of those other closings maybe I want to do it, But you can use that as an asset. You can send it to the seller before you meet with them. Social proof. You want to have raving fans. I talk about this in our referral training. You want those raving fans, and you want to promote it. And you want to tell a story. I've seen so many posts of just closed with the flyer. I love the just closed where the agent tells the story. Do you know what marketing really is at its core? It's telling good stories. So I love when someone posts, we just closed, met Sally 10 years ago at an open house. That's right, I said 10 years ago. Sally thought she would never be able to achieve the American dream of buying a home, but after this, that, this, today is the day, and I am so excited for Sally. And give you a picture of you and Sally. That's engagement. That's what people want to see. The flyers and stuff are great, but what about the story behind it? Right? When people try to sell you stuff, and coaches and all this stuff, coach never just tells you, what do? Listen to the success where this person went from 1 transaction to 55 transactions by implementing our systems and this. And for $95,000, we can do the same thing for you, right? You gotta tell the story behind it. Even the just listed. What happens, you're posting around saying this sold for this much over the list price all the time. What does that tell the people on social media? That it's easy and I don't need a realtor. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy in the industry. I'm not saying anyone in particular in this room, I'm just saying in general. So, any questions about the video marketing machine? Anybody who's never really embraced video, feeling a little froggy, you want to do one afterwards? I'll do it with you if you want. I've embarrassed myself enough, I don't care. Like I said, I'll make you a local leader. It will also show you that you're different than other agents. What happens when most people go on, they bring in 3 agents? Most of the time, the 3 agents will say most of the same stuff. I'm number 1, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. It's like a brag session for 45 minutes. I'm good at marketing. I'm good at video. That. Do you think if this person found me on social media through some of my video marketing that I've done, do you think I have to go in there and tell that seller I'm good at video and I'm good at marketing and that I'm different than the other 2 agents they just talked to? I always say stop telling people what you can do or show them what you can do. So again, you can boost and run the targeted ads. But even if you have a good video that you send the homeowner before you meet with them, right? I'm big on video postcards. You get the video postcard and it opens, it's a video. When people see that, do I have to explain to them that I get technology? Do I have to explain that I'm different than everybody else? Do I have to explain that I know marketing? I don't have to explain it because I just showed them. I'm a huge believer in pre-listing packets. For under $100, you can have the most impactful moment before you go into the listing. Proven. I know an agent that got over a 7-figure listing because of a video postcard that cost $40. How's that for an ROI? It was a techie seller, he was into it, right? It was like this, wow, this made you different. The agent said to me, Carl, everything's, that's kind of right what you said. Right? Making that investment and then being consistent with it. So again, consistency, consistency, consistency. Lastly, referrals from other agents is so big right now. I mean, on social media, how many different Facebook referral groups are there, right? And I know there's agents in this room who have picked up clients from those groups. But this is what happens. I sit there and watch my twisted way. I'll see someone put out there like, okay, I'm looking to service somebody, I need a referral for someone in like Tulsa, Oklahoma. Right, and one agent writes, I was the number 5 selling agent there, I was this, I was that, or, if you need someone, reach out to me, pop, pop, pop. Like, none of you stand out. None of you stand out. If I'm that person looking to place the referral, I have no idea who to pick from the 5 people. Who here has saw our top agent panel or ever heard of the infamous Pocket Pete? Pocket Pete Grasso, he's out of Long Island, he's a RE/MAX broker owner, the guy's hilarious, a good friend of mine. He does this, is he drops a video of why he should get the referral in the comments. Kills it. 6 figures a year in just referrals from other agents. Because everyone else is just saying, I'm this, I'm that, ba, 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 dropping it in. What does Pocket Pete do? He shows he's different. It can be him in his car, he drops the video. He then takes the video and sends it to them through direct messenger, through DM. Again, you have 6 people, or and I see this too, like people just tag their name and stuff. He does this, he crushes it. He's in Long Island. 6 figures a year and just, referrals from other agents. Another good friend of mine, his name is Mike Napolitano, he's out of Brooklyn, New York. One of my really good friends. He built a huge team. He had so many referrals from other agents. This man would work a convention like no man has ever worked a convention. Him and I would be at R4, the RE/MAX convention, and I had to stop walking the hallway with him because it would take 2 hours for him to get down the hallway because he just knew how to work it to get referrals. But referrals from other agents is you almost want to build your own network. Conventions is a great way to do it. I give him a lot of credit. I'm too much of like an introvert extrovert. But making these connections, getting referrals from other agents is such a huge, huge way to generate listings. What happens is this too is, are more people moving out of New Jersey or into New Jersey? I think it's out of New Jersey.
I think you're right, yeah.
I think that's what the studies are saying. More people are moving out of New Jersey, even with the influx of people moving in, right, to go south, lower taxes, whatever, warmer weather, whatever it might be. So, what happens is they'll go look at houses in Florida, South Carolina, wherever else, and then that agent will refer them an agent up here to sell their house, to get listings. So again, there's a lot of these referrals. There's the RE/MAX referral network, there's the lab coat agent. I mean, there's so many different referral groups online of agents sending referrals back and forth. But what's going to make you stand out different from the other 7 agents looking to generate your referrals? Right. What about this too, is an agent refers you to someone and it doesn't work out. Do you still take the time to acknowledge that agent for thinking of you?
Yes.
Do you send them a card or something saying, thank you for thinking of me? Right? That should be your go-to move, regardless of whether or not the property or sale happens. You want to acknowledge somebody so you know what, the next time they have a referral or something, who are they going to think of? You. If you never acknowledge it or show a little appreciation, they might not think you really cared about the list and you might be too busy. Another thing, no matter how busy you are, if another agent or someone asks you how busy you are, do you know what you should say, or how's everything going? Do you know what you should say? How's the market? Everything is great. You know what happens when you start telling people how busy and crazy it is? Guess who doesn't want to refer you? they're too busy, they can't handle it, right? How's everything going? Great. Market's fantastic. Especially on social media, don't stress about it. And listen, I know there's a lot of fatigue going on with buyers, sellers, the agents. But you can't let people know, because it could cause you referrals. Right? We've all been there. Think about it. You've dealt with somebody like, oh, they're too busy. Right? So you go to somebody else. Do you want them to go to somebody else because they think you're too busy? No. So just remember that in your messaging, even with other agents. Because you can even build, and this doesn't have to be agents out of state. This could be agents in North Jersey. You gotta love New Jersey. 20 minutes away, it's like a whole set. Like, I don't go over there. It's 20 minutes. It's a whole different area. It's one of the 27 MLSs we have in New Jersey that I don't have. Right? So just make sure you're even networking with local agents. I did a lot of short sales by getting referrals from other agents because they didn't want to handle it. So this is just a huge way that you can do it. You can video email agents that you're working with, that you're meeting at conferences, and stay on top of it and just build your agent network. So, first and foremost, it was great to be back and doing this at the Pines.
Thank you.
Another thing I want to say is I threw a lot of information at you. You know what you don't have to do? You don't have to do all 5 of these things. Pick one that you think will work well for you and start looking at it and doubling down on it. So in August, we're going to be doing another training here at the Pines. It's going to be run by Olivier. So again, keep an eye out for that. Thank you for everyone attending, and I'll see you guys soon.